Hey, weekly reading wrap up. Okay. So guess how many books I done read this week? 3. We are going down fast. I actually had a rather busy week. I had to fly back home to where I'm from in New York and to handle some family things. So you know how it is when you're around family. That was my primary focus. So that being said, I did not get much reading in. 2 of those books I actually read before my trip back home. And then the 3rd book I read pretty much on the plane. But let's get into it without further ado. Shoe by Alexandria House. This completes me reading the Them Boys series, which I wanted to read for the first time before fully rereading the St. Louis Sire series, which will be the series that we dive into for the Sugar Honey Book Club in February. And I read Set. I read Ja. Love Ja. But Shu was something different. So Shu is an older MMC, much like his brother Set. He's a bit older. They all have a dad who is being hospitalized for a pre-existing issue that really changed how he can be as a human, right? This is a bit of a debilitating situation that he has going on. And Shu ends up having a bit of relations with his father's CNA. And I want to say CNA specifically because I love Alexandria House and how she gives us the real. I don't know nobody who don't know a CNA. The difference of what that career path is like and where it is on the trajectory of nursing and things of that nature. I really appreciated that she included that in there. And I also love that our FMC has a bit of a backstory herself. She's younger, in her 20s. And although she's very interested in Shu, she does have a past. And they work through any issues that come up together. I think their story happens rather fast because Shu kind of moves her into his home because she's in unstable living conditions. She doesn't have her own home. She's living with her cousin. You know how things get with that. It gets dicey, but we start to see like the average blue collar man court her and make sacrifices for her, and them just love each other and be good to each other, which is really good because I feel like sometimes in this world of reading, especially reading romance, we get entranced with the billionaire romances, which we love those too. But this was very everyday people, and I enjoyed that so much. I think we got some revelations in this story about the whole sibling tribe of those brothers and like their family and some like generational things. It was a good conclusion to the story. My favorite is still probably Ja. Ja is the younger MMC who is dating the older FMC, and he do not play about her. No way. I love the way that young man moves. Okay. And he's a thick MMC, which I personally appreciate because I just don't think we get enough of that. Hey, did you subscribe, like, share? Yeah, do that, please. Next, I read The Disillusionment of Nick and Jay by Ryan Douglas. Quick synopsis. So we all read Great Gatsby in school, right? Did you? I think it's actually on some of the banned lists right now, or it's been petitioned to be banned in some states. But nevertheless, I grew up reading Great Gatsby as my like required literature in high school. And this is kind of like a reimagining of The Great Gatsby with some like authentic historical truths in it. Okay. So we follow Nick, who is a 17-year-old in the 20s, and he survived the Tulsa massacre. He flees to Harlem to get into this, prestigious integrated school, and he ends up meeting Jay Gatsby Jr. Jay Gatsby Sr. is still as, slick and kind of shady as we known him to be before, but he has a son who is mixed, who is white from Jay Gatsby and who has a black mom that we don't get to learn too much about. But nevertheless, Nick falls in love with Jay Gatsby. Jay Gatsby falls in love with Nick. So you do have a bit of M to M romance, but this is YA. Very closed door, nothing serious like that happens here. But they give us a bit of thrill and mystery because Nick actually finds the hatred that he dealt with back in the South as a black young man. He deals with the same in the city, like in New York, in Harlem, but it's a little cover, you know, it's a decorated, it's a little lipstick on it. However, there's a situation that is, again, very similar. There is like the burning of the dorms for the Black students. So both Nick and Jay and Daisy, who's actually Nick's cousin in this reimagining, all work together. Jordan works together to find out who did it and to try to go about getting a get back. This was so well done and so good. For a YA story, I would have ate this up. Oh my goodness. It's so interesting to have a retelling done in this way. And I think some of the rather cultural and true factual aspects of it just made it all the more enriching, because Nick has a dad who works for the Tulsa Star, which was an actual publication during this time. Jake Gatsby is a bootlegger, which makes so much sense during the Roaring 20s. It was just really, really, really good. I was so happy with this read, and I can't wait to read more from this author. And last but not least, I read another Alexandria House. I read Holding. Now, hear me out. I read Goal already, book club read for St. Louis Sires. This is the second book in the St. Louis Sires series. And I actually just got this sent to my house. I read Holding on Kindle, and I also listened to the audio for the end of it, because this is what I was reading on the plane. And I've read this book already, but it's so interesting that she writes it in a way where the jokes are still hitting after the reread. Quick synopsis: we have childhood lovers who get married and end up getting a divorce, and this is their second chance romance. But I do want you to understand, she wrote this book with dual timelines, so we get to see them fall in love, fall out. No, I can't say they ever fell out of love. They just had some hiccups where they had multiple breakups, you know, childhood things during college, and then they had a divorce, and then they get back together. And this was so well done, and definitely to follow up a nanny romance, which is one of my faves, with the second chance. I don't really like second chance, but for me to enjoy it the third time around, because I've read this book like multiple times, was so good. They have like a friends to enemies to lovers situation, or enemies friends to lovers situation. Crystal, our FMC, grew up with Ford, our MMC, and they were kind of like the three amigos with her twin brother and Ford. They had challenges, as all kids do. They get married. She has some mental challenges that I think really was the catalyst of them getting a divorce. But years later, they ain't mess around with nobody else. They just want to be together. So this was it's so much of this story, and I can't even get into it because I don't want to ruin it. I do want to talk about this like in depth with book club, but I was just so amazed after having reread it that it was just still that good to me. Funniest part, this is all I will say. This is the deepest I'll get into it. We start like chapter 2 very early on, chapter 2 or 3, with the MMC Ford coming to visit his son at his, ex-wife's house, and you could see like it's a bit of challenge and not resentment, but just a reserved nature. Like he's approaching a property that's not his, so he's knocking on her door. And as a reader, I feel the angst, because I'm like, oh, broken families. Oh my goodness, I hate to see it. And you feel the discomfort as he greets his ex-wife. She greets him, and he's like, I just came to see my son before my game, because he is a hockey player like the other guys in the story. And she's like, yeah, okay, he's in the back room. And you're feeling all these things. When he approaches the back room, he approaches his son named Ladarius, who turns out to be a freaking iguana. When I say the first time I read this, I almost threw the doggone phone, because I read this on Kindle, and I read this with audio back like a year ago. Because you did all of that Alexandria House over a freaking iguana. Stop playing with me. And I live in Florida. It's really cold right now. And it's the whole thing about the iguanas dropping from the trees because they're cold-blooded. Yada, yada. If y'all don't come and get one of these doggone iguanas from down here, stop playing. That's when I knew they was like, I'm like, oh, y'all don't dislike each other. Ain't no real issues. Y'all just being petty, somebody being stubborn. Nobody can apologize because you're coming over her house to visit an iguana. Talking about it's your son. Stop playing with me. But this book was so good, y'all. Definitely worth a reread if you haven't reread it in a while. Worth the first read as well. Definitely enjoyed it. I only read 3 books this week though. And listening to the audio of Love Unexpected by Love Belvin. And this is in her first series. I actually did a reading order for Love Belvin because I'm dedicated to really understanding her artistry. Loved Love Lost. I love the writing structure and overall storytelling, the way she's building up these characters, the way I don't know what the hell is going on, but I'm still invested in trying to figure out because they're courting each other and they're being very like cards to the chest, private, but also as a reader, I don't know what they're hiding either, but I know both of them are hiding some things. So yeah, that's what my reading week is looking like. Please let me know what you're currently reading, what you'll be reading this upcoming week, and let's go from there. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you next time. All right. Have a great day.